I'll answer the question with another challenge question. Oftentimes people will say, maybe a lay audience will listen to a lecture I give. That made so much sense. But why do 97% of scientists disagree with you? Why are there so many intelligent people? Or if it's a hostile reporter, they'll put it this way. All these people disagree with you. So do we throw out science? Or is there a vast conspiracy to suppress the real evidence? I'll say it's much more boring than that. There's a third explanation. I'll use the US as an example. Effectively, in our education system, through which probably all of these scientists get their education, there's no creationist PhD granting universities here. They're going to get their education in the state system. Creation is never taught. It's basically illegal, effectively illegal. And if someone disagrees with me, I'll just say go to the National Center for Science Education website and look at all the efforts they make to shut down any attempt to teach creation. Now, science is a process of inductive reasoning. You can't prove anything with science. You can only disprove competing ideas. And if you've disproved enough that you think compete and yours is still standing, you can be fairly confident that it still works. And when we speak of theories, we're not talking about proven fact. We're saying, well, this idea survived a long time. It might be falsified tomorrow, but it's still standing. It's sort of survival of the fittest in a sense. The only way science works is if you've identified competing explanations. In other words, you can't eliminate competing ideas unless you know that they exist, which is part of the reason we have peer review and multiple minds, because we're all finite and I might have missed something. So, hey, my colleague, what about this experiment fails to exclude a competing idea? Well, you have now, back to the origins issue, you have all these scientists who are forbidden from, they're never taught to read a single technical creationist paper. For all they know, there's a competing idea, a whole world of creationist thought they don't even know exists. So they accept evolution because they don't know that there's a whole other idea with scientific evidence and research behind it. So to me, it's simply evolution in, evolution out. It's a simple. There's no vast conspiracy that you don't throw out science. It's the process. It's the scientific method in which competing ideas just aren't part of the discussion. And even when I interact with people who are public apologists for evolution, make it their career or significant focus to take on creation ideas and rebut them, they're also unaware. They're speaking largely in ignorance. They don't read the papers I've published. They don't engage the arguments I've made. In fact, what I've discovered is many evolutionists, even professing Christians, will say that that simply to disagree with the scientific consensus, forget what I'm disagreeing on or what arguments I'm making, what data I have behind me, to simply disagree labels me a liar. That's not rational thought. That's not a coherent argument to say, if you disagree, you're wrong and you're a liar. We haven't even started the discussion. I haven't even showed you the evidence and you're calling me a liar. So my impression is, by experience and then simply this little thought experiment with the U.S. educational system, the vast majority of scientists are just totally unaware that something else exists. So I would say, yes, that evolutionary ideas are impossible based on Darwin's own standard, now applied to modern cell biology and genetics. And secondly, there is a whole alternative explanation. It's not just that we can rebut Darwin, we can replace him with something that's superior, that meets the evolutionist's own standard. They have criticized creation by, let's say, this standard. I've met it now, and I'm turning around and saying, now you meet your own standard. So I'm hopeful that as scientists are made aware of this, that's one of the reasons I've written a book, is to make them aware of it. They will begin to see that there's something we've missed. There's an explanation we haven't really wrestled with, that we haven't given a fair shake. And my hope is then they'll reconsider.